Hey, what's going on, drivers? Hey, listen, any music that you may hear in the background, I do not own the rights to. Um, I wanted to talk to you guys about being owner operators. There are two different types of owner operators, or maybe even three. You have your traditional owner operator thank you. You have your traditional owner operator, someone who went out and purchased a truck and they leased their truck on to a company. They signed a lease agreement between the trucking company and the actual owner of that truck, meaning owner operator. You're a leased on owner operator. Then you have the lease driver owner operators who lease purchase trucks from carriers, and they pay everything that owner operators pay. They pretty much pay everything. They pay the insurance, the taxes, everything. They just pay everything, along with escrow and all kinds of stuff like that. Okay, I had a driver today give me a call today, and he goes, "Hey D, I'm just perplexed about everything that's going on in the trucking industry, and I need you to break down what's a bad load." And as I told him, really, a bad load is whatever you think is a bad load, because what's good for you may not be good for me, and what's good for me may not be good for you. Like, I'll give you an example. I live here on the Northeast where there are tolls just across the street. If I go 2 or 3 miles, I got to pay a toll. If you were out in the Midwest, this particular guy was from Iowa. So if you're out in the Midwest or out west or somewhere like that, down south, you may not have any tolls, so your overhead may not be as high as what my overhead may be, although I may only travel a few miles. So you have got to judge it by what you're spending, how much weight you're hauling, how many pallets it is, what the criterias are, what time of the day, what time of the night they want you to haul it, what time of the day, what time of the night they want you to deliver it, how long you want to leave it on my truck, and what are your ramifications of paying me. All these things have to be factored in to the rate. So I'm only like 30 miles from New York City, but I mean, what am I going to charge somebody? $200 to go to New York? Freaking tolls from here to New York and back is almost $300. Well, is it that much? It's 100. Say, yeah. Well, let's see. If I rode the New Jersey Turnpike across the GW, across the Throngs Neck, and then back, yeah, it could cost me right at about $300 on a maybe a 60-mile run. So quite naturally, I'm not going to charge you by the mile. I'm going to charge you by what I feel is appropriate, an appropriate rate. And what an appropriate rate may be, like if I have to go to Hunts Point Market and I got to cross the GW, I got to run the turnpike. Once I get to Hunts Point Market, I got to pay a fee to get inside the yard in order to deliver my pallets. Am I going to be required to pay the lumper vice the broker? So there are a lot of different things that you have to know in order to figure out what's a good rate or a good price to charge someone. So let's just say I had to go to deliver into New York City in Long Island somewhere. Okay, well, my first thing is I'm going to figure out that, okay, D, you probably could do this run at $100 in fuel. It's going to cost you another, say, close to $300 in tolls. So now I'm at $400, right? So then out of the $400, you got to figure, you got to pay your driver. So if you were to pay a driver for the day, how much would you pay that particular driver to do that load? So anywhere from $150 to $200. So now you're up to $600. How much money are you going to spend in road taxes? If your road taxes from Jersey to New York, maybe, who knows? I'm just throwing some numbers out there, $80. So by the time you do all of this mathematics, and you add up your tolls, your fuel, how much money it's going to cost you for the lumper fees, parking to go inside and deliver or whatever you got to do, come back and pay your driver. Once you've calculated all of that, you should start to be coming in up. You should start to come up with a rate, because most guys will say, well, I don't have a driver. I drive myself. Okay, well, you pay yourself at the end of the week, right? After you pay all your bills, you got to pay yourself. You got to pay the bills at the house. So although you may be driving a truck, if you weren't driving the truck couldn't drive itself. So somebody has to pay the driver, i.e. you. So, okay, so once you do that, and then you put in for wear and tear and all of that. So let's say a 30-mile run from South Plainfield, New Jersey to Long Island City or Long Island, I may charge $850, $900 to do that run. And after everything is said and done, and you take the close to $300 off for fuel and tolls, and if the miles, along with paying a driver, if I'm lucky, I may come out with $300 after paying everything, because I'm not taking from the trucking company that I own. I put all that money into the kitty, and then at the end of the week, the trucking company pays me, the employee. Although I may be the owner of the company, you have got to run your business as though it's a business. You cannot take money from the money that you're making from the business to do whatever you want to do. At the end of the week, you break down everything that you spent, your tolls, your fuel, everything like that, and you can figure out pretty much how much you're running for, how much you're doing freight at. And you got to estimate how much it would do, how much will be profitable for you for doing that run. So on an $850 run, if I get $350 after everything is said and done on a 60-mile run, if I get say $350 out of that run, I did well. So it all depends on where you are, what tolls you may have to pay, what kind of fuel, the price of fuel. I mean, there's a lot of things that goes into making a rate. Most of you guys I hear out here saying, well, as long as I'm running at $2 a mile, I'm being profitable. $2 a mile is not profitable to me, but to each his own. So, everybody has their own thing on what's profitable and what's not profitable. So me and this particular guy who's out of Iowa, we get into the freight rates and stuff like that. So he says, D, he said, I took a load from Iowa up to, I think it was Penn State. He said, once I got to Penn State, the load paid me $2,100. He said, now had I took the toll roads, it would have cost me $300 in tolls, along with $900 in fuel. So now we're at $1,100, making his profit $900 minus paying him as the driver. So let's just say he made $900 profit. So he then says, his boss says to him, well, everything running out of that area is paying at $1 per mile. And so I told him, I said, that's what your boss is telling you. But freight is running way more than $1 a mile. And he didn't understand what I was saying to him. What I'm saying to you is, if you're a leased on driver to a company, no company's not going to take no freight right at $1 and give you the whole dollar. If it paid $1, they would give you 80 cents. 75 cents a mile, 65 cents a mile, but that man is not going to give you the whole 100% of the freight and let you have that. So he'll tell you that it paid $1 a mile. If he's saying that I'm going to be transparent with you and I'm going to show you the rate con, he will never show you the rate con between him and his customer. He will not do that. Never, ever will he do that. What he will do is he'll get some letterhead of his own and he'll write down the name of the company, his company, the things that had to be done, just like the rate confirmation was written up. Only thing is he changed the paperwork up and wrote it out himself so that you will never be able to see it. Like I remember years ago when I was leased on to a company, it was a 75 25 split meaning that I get 75% of the profits and they get 20% of the profits. I didn't have to pay for trailers or anything like that. Only thing I had to have was bobtail insurance because I'm leased on to this company. So they pick up all my insurances except for collision. So if I wanted to have collision, I had to go out and get my own collision, just like I had to go out and get my own bobtail because I'm a traditional owner operator leased onto a company. So, all right, I get 75%, they get 25%. But do I really know that they're paying me 75%? Hell no, you don't. Because the owner of the company is never going to actually let you see the rate confirmation between you and his customer. He will always write something out on a rate confirmation showing that this is what we're getting to do this. Now, on the flip side of that, if you could ever prove that he's BSing you, cheating you out of your money, you could take him to court for the remaining balance of every load that you pull for him. Because in the lease agreement, it says that I shall get 75% of every load that I pull, and the company will keep 25% of the load. So if you could prove that he cheated you, then you can take him to court and sue him for the remaining balance of your money. But I'm telling you, it's industry practice or industry standards that this has been going on forever. And if a company tells you that they gave you all in, it only paid $1, it paid more than $1. It might have paid $2, maybe even $3. And they gave you $1 a mile because they know right now most drivers are running at $1 a mile if they want to work, although it's not profitable for anyone to be running at that rate. So when it comes down to it, it depends on who you're dealing with. So again, no company is not going to give you 100% of the rate. Just think about that now. No company is going to give you 100% of the rate to do a run. If it was at $1, they will give you 70 cents a mile, 80 cents a mile, maybe even 60 cents a mile. But they're not going to give you the whole dollar. That's just not going to happen. So what that tells me is that the freight ran way more than $1. And they kept the overage from the $1 and told you that's what it's running for because they know that the average driver out here is running freight at $1, $1.25 a mile. So that's what they told you and said, oh, we didn't take no money. That's bull crap. They did take some money. So again, you as an owner operator have to know these things, man. If you sign your name on a lease agreement with a company, number one, do you know that you need to keep your lease agreement inside of your truck in case you get stopped by DOT, because DOT can say, okay, you're leased on to ABC Trucking. Let me see the lease agreement between you and ABC Trucking to know that you're authorized to have his DOT numbers and MC numbers on the side of your truck. Like when you see the DOT numbers on the side of the truck, it doesn't just have DOT numbers and MC numbers. It has lease to ABC Trucking, DOT number, MC number, because you're a leased on owner operator to that particular company. Now, when you get independent owner operators such as myself, who we are carriers, then all you see is DOT numbers, MC numbers on the side of our trucks because we're individual carriers, just like the guy you're leased on to. I could actually lease guys on. And let me say this too. When you're dealing with independent owner operators such as myself, there is no such thing as you being able to lease on to an owner operator and he charges you the same premium that he pays in insurance unless he goes through his insurance company and they authorize you to be leased on to his particular company. So you get a lot of owner operators out here that play these games that say, okay, I'll let you lease on and book loads under my authority, and you go pick up a load and then something happen. Then you and that owner operator is going to be that independent owner operator are going to be liable for that freight because you are not, and I'm going to repeat, you are not authorized to haul anything under his DOT numbers. When they look at his deal, when you pull up on a scale and they punch in your DOT numbers or your MC numbers, they know how many trucks you have. They know what type of truck you got, what type of trailer you got. They know the number or the VIN number of the truck that's authorized to pull under that DOT number. Now, a lot of these younger DOT cops may not know that, but some of these old senior DOT cops do. And you will be put in a sling if you're hauling freight and you're not authorized to haul it, because that means you don't have any insurance and you're out here driving on the road, hauling freight up and down the road, and could possibly kill somebody, damage the freight, tear something up, tear the road up, tear a sign down, and you don't have any insurance. Because although that guy that has his authority has insurance, he only has insurance on the equipment that he took to his insurance company and insured. So don't fall for the okie doke with these owner operators telling you, listen, give me 30% or give me 40% and I'll let you run under my rights. They can't do that. That's illegal. And if you get in trouble, your ass is going to be in trouble. If you get a good DOT cop to stop you and say, hey, what the hell's going on here? You know, you're not authorized to haul this or drive this. Only person that's authorized to drive this is driver John Smuckatelli. Where's John Smuckatelli? Your name is Jim Smith. John Smuckatelli is the only one authorized to drive this or drive this particular truck and trailer. It's all, if DOT really, really, truly wanted to look into numbers and everything like that, they can find that out. But getting back to rates again, I cannot determine what's a good rate for you, nor can I determine what's a bad rate for you. You have got to know your business. You have got to know what you need to run your operation at, whether it be $2, $5, $10, whether it be by the area that you're running into, because sometimes the miles don't add up to what you're doing. Again, i.e., I'm 30 miles from New York City, so it costs me $300 to run in and out of New York. So I'm damn sure not going to run over to New York for $200 and it costs me $300 in tolls and another $100 in fuel. So that would be stupid of me to do something like that. So I have to figure out what the cost is for me to do that. So a good figure, anywhere from $850 to $900. I turn maybe a $300, $350 profit, close to $400 if I'm lucky. So again, you know, this particular guy wanted me to do a board to show everything of what's a good rate, what's a bad rate, how to break this down, how to break that down. The first thing you guys need to learn as being independent owner operators is to read your damn lease agreement. Read that lease agreement and figure out what kind of lease agreement you came upon. Did you take a lease agreement that you get paid on a percentage? Did you take a lease agreement that you get paid per mile? Did you take a lease agreement that if you get stuck at a dock, that the first 2 hours are going to be free and then you get $25 an hour after the first 2 hours? Did you take a lease agreement that you're going to pay rental on the trailer? Are you taking a lease agreement where you have to pay if you damage something on the trailer? Did you take a lease agreement where you got to put money in escrow? God forbid you flip a trailer and tear the man's trailer up or damage his cargo. There's so many different things when it comes to a lease agreement. There's so many different things when it comes to you being paid. There's so many different things when it comes to the operation of a truck, other than saying, well, I found a load that's paying decent money and this, that, this. You got to know as an owner operator, they take the training the day that you grab the keys for your new truck, whether you be an independent owner operator such as myself, or whether you be a lease owner operator. Because if you damage any of that man's freight being leased onto his company, he's going to take your money because you're an independent owner operator. Now, if you're just a company driver, there may be different things where he can't mess with you like that because it's his truck, his trailer, his freight. So he may penalize you. He may say, well, that's the only thing really I could see them doing to somebody that's a company driver. If you damage some freight, we're going to penalize you. I can't see them making you pay for the truck that you may have damaged or the freight that you may have damaged. Although there are some companies that will come after a driver if they are negligent and cause someone to lose their life, damage, or whatever. And then, yeah, maybe they might come after him. The family of the person that you killed or hurt or damaged something may come after you. It all depends. But for the most part, most company drivers, you're not in the same realm as an owner operator, independent owner operator, or lease purchase owner operator. So you kind of, it just depends on the company you work for. 9 times out of 10, they just fire your ass. But this is the thing. When you cause damage, you have this thing called a loss run. So if you go out here and you damage this man's truck, you cause $50,000 worth of damage. When you go to try to get a new job with another company, the first thing the company is going to ask for, who did you work for? Oh, I work for ABC Trucking. Well, I need you to call back over to ABC Trucking and tell them that you need a loss run for the last 3 years. They're going to contact their insurance company and they're going to send over that loss run. And it's going to show that you did $34,000 worth of damage. You got a couple of out of services and this and that and that and this. And now they consider you to be a bad driver and you cannot get a job. That's how all this stuff works out, man. But it's a lot to know. That's why I tell guys all the time, learn the business before you take your ass and go buy a truck. Because once you take a truck, all training wheels are off. You need to know this already. You need to know what you can and cannot do. You need to know that you know, the bottom line is you're responsible for everything, because everything lies on you now because you're owner operator, you're independent owner operator, or you're an actual carrier. So if you don't get it done, you don't get paid. Now, there was one time I had, because me and the guy, we were getting into the rates, and I was telling him I went and picked up a rescue vehicle. And I charged the people like $3,500 to do the rescue. The load was coming out of Florida, going into New York City and Pennsylvania. So I charged $3,500 to do it. It was 3 stops on it. So I bobtailed over. I picked the man's trailer up, and I told him, they told me to drop the trailer in Pennsylvania at the rest area once I'm done. Because that's another thing that'll happen. If your equipment breaks down, they'll come and get your trailer because you signed that contract, because you're not reading the contract again. You signed the contract saying that they'll come and pick your trailer up and take it to the delivery point, and they'll make sure that it's put into a safe place. So they told me drop it at the rest area. So the guy asked me, well, what are you going to do with my trailer? I said, they told me to drop it on the southbound side of the highway in the rest area. And that's what I'm going to do. Do you have a pin lock that I can maybe put on there to lock it up so that nobody steals your trailer? No, driver, I don't have anything. Okay, well, I'll make sure that I put it in a lit area so hopefully no one steals it, because, you know, the broker doesn't care. Only thing he cares about is his freight getting from point A to point B. So now me and the driver exchanged telephone numbers and everything like that. So he goes, well, D, how much you get paid? So me, I'm thinking that's a personal question. It's really none of your business what I got paid to do the load. So I gave him a erroneous number. A couple of weeks later, the guy calls me back and says, hey man, the broker's trying to charge me X amount of dollars for me breaking down and you rescuing the load. And he wants to charge me this. And that was the exact amount of money that I charged the broker to rescue the load. So basically, he wanted him to eat all of that. Now, me personally, I don't think that the man should have went all the way from Florida down to damn near Virginia and he eat the whole damn load. You know, the broker has to take some kind of responsibility in it, but that was between him and the broker. But it all depends on the contract that you sign. And if you're not reading these contracts and making sure that you know what's in these contracts when you sign them, then if that's the case, that broker could take your ass to court and sue you for whatever money that he has to recoup. So it is what it is. So that's why I say to you guys that want to go out here, purchase trucks, Know the business before you jump into this. Know what you can and cannot do. Know to read your contracts. I don't care how fast a load has to be picked up. If you don't pick it up right now, you're going to lose the load. Okay, well, you just lose the load because you don't want to ever be in a situation where you signed a contract for something and you really don't know what's in it until after, the inevitable happens and you're in trouble and they need to find out what's going on. So again, rates depend on weight, how much time I got to hold on to the material, the terrain I have to pull the material in when it has to deliver. Is it a weekend pickup, weekend delivery? There's a lot of variables in it. So if I pick up a load on Friday night and have to deliver it on Monday morning, that means I got to hold that freight for 2 days. If I'm pulling a reefer, that means I have to get up physically and babysit my trailer by going from my house to my yard, making sure everything is working properly on my reefer, making sure that I got fuel in the fuel tanks so that the reefer doesn't cut off and something spoils. I got to make sure that the temp is set at the right temperature and nobody's been screwing around with my trailer. There's a lot of variables that go into it that goes into the rate because you're responsible for that load for the next 2 days until that load delivers. So again, man, there is no what's a cheap load? What's a high dollar load? It's whatever you feel is right when it comes to what that load is, what they're requiring you to do for that particular load. So I hope that this helped out a few of you guys that are asking the question of what's a good paying load or what's cheap freight or what's this or what's that. It just depends on what's being asked of you to do. Okay, man, this is Trucker's Life. This is what I love to do. I didn't even get a chance to take off my jacket, man, because me and the guy was on the phone for like an hour and a half. And I know this still doesn't really answer his question because he wanted me to get a chalkboard and show you how to break stuff down and do stuff. And I just hope he just rewinds this and listens to what I say. Again, you don't know what your boss is making, meaning the company. They may say they're paying you $1 a mile, but nobody's not going to give you 100% of the revenue to do a load. They have to make something on the back end. So if you're getting paid $1 a mile to do a load, then that load probably paid anywhere from $2.50, $3 a mile. And he kept that on the back end. And because market rates right now, or so-called market rates right now, says that it only pays $1.25 a mile to run out of that area back over to this area, then that's all he wants to pay you, and he's going to pocket that money and maybe take a little percentage off the $2,700 that he gave you. So again, man, you need to know your business when you enter into this business. Again, man, this is Trucker's Life. This is what I love to do, man. You know what I like to say. Trucker's Life. I'm going to catch you guys down the road. Woo woo.